Welcome everyone. A lot of you guys have been requesting this, so today we're finally going to cover all the best monitors for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as quickly as possible. And before we get started, I do want to note some important differences between the types of HDMI connections that you find on the backs of these monitors, because there are some common misconceptions, and HDMI is the primary source of video connection for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. So we've got HDMI 1.4, HDMI 2.0, and HDMI 2.1. I will have all three of these listed on the side over here, as well as their capabilities. And it's important because as far as HDMI 1.4 goes, we only want to be using this in the 1080p range because it can push 1080p at 120 frames per second. And then we've got HDMI 2.0, which is capable of 1080 at 240, 1440 at 144, and 4K at 60. If we want to get 4K at anything over 60 frames per second, we're going to need an HDMI 2.1 connection for that. So we're going to break these monitors apart into different sections. We're going to have the 1080p, 1440, and 4K, and then when we finally hit 4K, we're going to have to separate those between 4K 60 monitors and then the 4K 144 Hz monitors, which are actually exponentially more expensive. So every monitor that I'm gonna have listed in this video is going to be linked in the description below. And stick around to the end if you want to see my personal picks for all the different resolutions. As far as 1080p monitors go, the best sizes are typically anywhere from 24 to 27 inches. So kicking this off, we're gonna be looking at the Acer Vg240y. This is a 24-inch IPS panel, 1 millisecond, 144 Hz, using HDMI 2.0, and it's $200. Next up, we've got the BenQ EX2510. This is a 25-inch IPS, 1 millisecond, 144 Hz, HDMI 2.0, and it's $250. Then we've got the BenQ Zowie XL2731. This is a 27-inch TN panel, 1 millisecond, 144 Hz, HDMI 2.0, coming in at $270. There are actually a few 24-inch AOC monitors that are pretty affordable in the $140 to $150 price range, and I will have these linked in the description, but I do prefer the first three that I mentioned over these two monitors. Jumping into the 1440p resolution range, we have lots of picks decently priced, capable of running the 120 Hz. I stuck mostly to the 27-inch range, but I have snuck in a 32-inch in here as well. First up, we've got the Viewsonic GF-V27DAB. This is a 27-inch TN, 1 millisecond, 144 Hz, HDMI 2.0, and it's $270. Next up, we've got the Viewsonic Vx2768. It's a 27-inch on an IPS panel, 144 Hz with a 1 millisecond response time using HDMI 2.0, and this comes in at $340. Next, we've got the Gigabyte G27QC. This is a 27-inch IPS, 1 millisecond, curved, 165 Hz, HDMI 2.0, and it's $300. Now we've got the AOC CQ32G1, which is a curved 32-inch on a VA panel with a 4 millisecond response time, but it does have that 144 Hz. Lastly, we've got the Asus TUF VG27WQ1B. Man, that's a long name. 27-inch TN, 1 millisecond, 165 Hz, curved, HDMI 2.1, and this is coming in at $345. Going into the 4K picks, this is separated into two different sections. So 4K at 60, we have the Asus VP28UOG. It's a 28-inch IPS, 1 millisecond, HDMI 2.0, 60 Hz, and it's $270. And then we've got the LG 27UL500W. This is a 27-inch IPS with a 5 millisecond response time, 60 Hz, but there's much more attention to color accuracy and picture quality in this model. And that comes in at $350. And finally, we've reached the renowned 4K monitors with over 120 Hz capabilities. They'll all be using HDMI 2.1, and I warned you guys, these are going to be expensive. First up is the Gigabyte Aorus M28U. It's 28-inch, 144 Hz IPS panel, 1 millisecond response time, and a whopping $599 if you can find it in stock. And yes, it has two of those glorious HDMI 2.1 ports. And then we've got the LG Ultra Gear 27GP950. This is a 27-inch IPS 1 millisecond, 144 Hz overclockable to 165 Hz, HDMI 2.1, and insane brightness and color accuracy ratings in this model, with a similarly insane price tag of $900. Lastly, I do have to mention the Eve Devices Spectrum monitors. These are available for pre-order and they have variations for 1440p and 4K. These monitors were specifically designed to be jack of all trades. IPS panels, HDR 600 rating with 750 nits brightness, literally everything I would want from a 4K 144Hz monitor with HDMI 2.1 packed in, and it is expensive as well. The 4K version is $799, so $800 without the stand. When you add in the stand and after taxes, it's pretty much $900. All right, let's go ahead and cover my personal picks for all the different monitor resolutions. So at 1080p easily, the BenQ EX2510 is my choice. I like that it's rocking IPS for the best color accuracy and viewing angles. It's got a 1 millisecond response time, and it has a bunch of features packed into it that I currently use for all of my gaming. Bear in mind, I primarily play shooter games like Apex Legends, but the black equalizer and color vibrance are awesome features packed into this, and I hate to think of playing without them. My 1440p pick would be the Viewsonic VX2758. Again, it's an IPS with a 1 millisecond response time, and Viewsonic really knows their monitors. My pick for 4K at 60 Hz is the Asus VP28 UOG. I like the IPS, 1 millisecond, and coming in at $270, this is a hard bargain to beat. Finally, my pick for 4K at 120 Hz or higher would be the LG Ultra Gear. These guys are the originators as far as nano IPS technologies. They made IPS capable of 1 millisecond response times. These guys are the ones who did it, and this monitor is absolutely ridiculous. And again, it comes with that $900 price tag. The next thing I want to cover is the optimal resolutions for both of these consoles. And I think that it's actually 1440p as far as getting really good frame rates and really high quality. I think that they both shine at 1440p. I know it was an issue for Sony where they didn't have 1440p compatibility, but they announced that they're doing a firmware update and that the compatibility is going to be software patched in, so that's not going to be an issue. And I think that that's just the best sweet spot as far as performance and resolution, 1440p. Now, if you're like me and you play shooter games, fighting games, games that depend upon your connection and reaction to the game, and you want the highest possible performance, I would recommend getting a 1080p monitor. And the reason being is that at 1080p resolution, you are most likely to hit that 120 frames per second mark consistently, and that can improve your reaction time to the game. So that's just my personal recommendation for those of you who play highly competitive games. Get a 1080p monitor. And lastly, because I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask this in the comment section, so let's get it out of the way. Do I personally believe that 4K is worth it for either of these consoles? And the answer is yes. 4K at 60 frames per second is nothing to scoff at, and both of these consoles have been able to achieve 4K at 60 or higher in some games and situations. And resolution is just a personal preference. Some people like 1440, I like to game at 1080p, some people love 4K. Depends on the games that you like to play and what you want from your monitor. Like I was saying, you want high performance, go 1080p all day long. If you want the best immersive experience, go 1440 or 4K. Easy enough. Again, all the different monitors that we covered in this video will be linked in the description below. I do hope that this video helped you in your decision-making process, and if it did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share the content. It's greatly appreciated. Notification Squad, you guys rock. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Peace.